Ask and ye shall receive. Hello everyone and welcome to the Commando cast. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Mike, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the new RRG.
Alright guys, so we got lucky enough. I asked the question earlier this week to Matt Holland. I was basically just like on the Facebook page. I was like, hey man, we've got product in the wild. You've probably had this ready for 3 months because the set was supposed to come out like 3 months ago. Can we have the RRG? And he responded very quickly and just said, sure. And then like instantaneously after his response, boom, the RRG hit. So thank you, Matt. That was pretty awesome.
We do appreciate that. I know there's always some weird stuff with open lines of communication, but I think sometimes that's one of the times that it works. Matt's always been pretty stand-up guy, so we appreciate it.
Very responsive, which is the reason the community love you long time.
Adores him. Love so deep.
So before we get started, actually we have a couple shout-outs to make across the Commando community. So first, Steve. So Steve, he's been a longtime supporter of the channel, perhaps one of our longest supporters out there, right? So Steve, he's gotten sick. We don't really want to go much into it because of his, it's his personal business. Right. But Steve, we just want to let you know, Mike and I are thinking about you. The whole Commando community is here for you, and if you need any help, please just let us know, buddy.
Yeah, love you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Next, so after last week's cast, I had mentioned kind of the plan for getting stuff, which I still haven't delivered on because I've been just a little busy in the last week. But I do want to give a shout out for David. David, hearing that this is what I needed to make my life easier, sent these to Mike and hugely appreciated. Actually, I want to let you know exactly how well appreciated it is. Last night was the first class, and do you know what I didn't have to do after I got home from class last night because I knew these were coming? So I didn't have to spend the next 2 hours up on my computer trying to process the video and getting it out. Yeah. So you just let me go to bed at 10 o'clock last night, and that in himself, really. So thank you, man. Really appreciate it. These are awesome.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it, man.
Next,
So I had the opportunity to be on the ABG Star Wars Destiny podcast last night. Airbrooke Gaming, if you don't know who that is, and we had a great cast. They put it on today. I actually got to listen to it over breakfast this morning, and I just had a great time with Kyle and Paul. And I just wanted to say thank you, Commandos. If you are out there and you haven't seen ABG before, please go look at their stuff. Go your YouTube channel, Airbrooke Gaming. Check them out. They have a great cast, and they are so faithful with how often they do it. They have a great Discord as well. So anyway, check it out, and thanks guys for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I actually because I watched it today because I was like, oh, my boy's on. I watch their stuff most weeks because they also do a very good job getting stuff out consistently. Right. And actually, I wanted to throw in an interesting story because I know you guys said you were listening. So actually, large reason why I got into the gameplay business was because of ABG, was because they were pumping out videos like crazy on TTS, and I wanted to make sure that we didn't become a TTS only game. So
interesting. Okay.
I don't know if that's headbutts or rivals or whatever. I mean, I think it goes in concert. But yeah, ABG is actually a large reason why I started doing this to begin with. So
they actually gave me a lot more. Speaking to them yesterday, I have a more appreciation for TTS because they're in a weird situation where they're all geographically diverse. Mm-hmm. And for us, like, we're so lucky, right? Because we're surrounded by people that want to play, and some of those like Paul doesn't even have a local store he can play at. So TTS for them has been a real good thing. So it kind of gave me an extra appreciation. Sure. But I'm also glad that we're able to do the in real life play too. So
yeah. Well, and it's funny actually. We're talking about TTS. I actually played 2 TTS games last night because Sean over Bunsen Brewer, who basically lives in effectively another state,
Idaho, right?
He wanted to cram some games in for the Tacoma Prime now that we're all relatively certain that it's going to be on the same meta. Love you a long time, FOG.
We're not going to turn it into that cast.
No, okay. It's not where we're going. So.
All right.
So I did want to go into the RRG. So you are actually going to see me. I have my laptop here. I'm going to not be making contact with the computer or with the camera or mic because I'm actually just going to go through this. Be reading it out. So we do note that the changes are all this time in blue. Usually they're in red. I'm assuming that they were in blue because I'm assuming that what we're actually have in our hands is a rough draft. Like, it was probably a rough draft. It wasn't final approved. And when they're like, hey, they're asking for it, they were like, Yeah, we weren't going to get around to it anyway, ship it.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
so
totally
you do have to note the blue. So what we have, fundamentally, we have 7 changes. So we'll just run through those one by one, and I'll be putting them up. Hopefully, we're in it because I'm putting them up here.
Yeah,
hopefully
this here. Yeah, we'll make sure.
Out. So, all right. So just going down in terms of clarifying health. So this one was funny because actually when I did my run through, I did a live run through of all the new cards, like on a live. And one of the things that people kept hitting me about was they're like, "Oh, I think you're interpreting the health thing wrong," and I was right. I was right. So, health. A character's health is how much damage it can take before being defeated, and the addendum on there is when an ability refers to a character's health, it's referring to their total health, not their remaining health. So if you have a printed health of 10, you have 10 health. If you have, what's kind of weird about it is if you have 10 and then you add that, fortitude that gives you +4,
right,
you now have 14, right? So it's like, the damage doesn't affect your health. Your health is an independent thing of damage, and you die when your damage equals your health. Which we already knew, which is why I was interpreting it that way. But they're throwing in this clarification.
So Feat of Strength, the card you have up there, specifically states that if your character has 14 or more...
It's 15 or more, yeah.
So just to be clear, so at the end of the game, if I have Tarful in play and he's got 11 health and I have Fortitude on him, and he will
be 15.
He has 15 health. Feat of Strength at that point removes two dice for 1 cost, effectively the entire game, no matter how many, even
Correct.
if he's at 1 health.
So his health is, and we do that a lot, right? Collectively across the community, we say he has 3 health remaining. And that's not technically proper, is what this is saying.
He has 3 damage remaining.
He has 3 hit points remaining. And I've actually started shifting. I actually have tried to start shifting to do that in my commentary already because of the feedback. Okay. But it is nice to have this clarified. So
that's a
it's a worthwhile clarification, right?
Not insignificant for sure.
Right.
Like that's I can see this causing some problems. So TOs, if you're out there, get familiar with this little entry.
Yeah. And speaking of, this card we're showing is garbage because that means you have to have Feat of Strength or Fortitude on somebody because it's a hero card. Right?
Yeah, but it says 11, like, so any 11, because it'll do 1
11
die.
will remove 1. Yeah. Oh, so it's not worthless. That's fair.
In fact,
fair.
I would say that this is one of the best removal cards because is it any
damage? Remove a die showing damage.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Actually, now that you mention that, that's true. I was thinking, of course, the huge payoff, but yeah.
Well, it can get extra stupid value, right?
Right.
I mean, if we that's
way too combo-y. Oh yeah, if we ever get a 15 point,
we do have a whole nother set that could or could not be given out. And who knows what kind of monstrous characters are in that sort of set.
That's fair. All right, next one is downgrades. So this one is really just a clarification to what we all thought about the new downgrades we have that will have dice, right? Yeah. So the one I showed is Systems Malfunction because I'm in love with this art. Like, this is fantastic art.
Yeah, I love that.
So the clarification is if a downgrade has a matching die, that die is rolled into its controller's pool after the attached character is activated.
Yeah.
So with some debate on whether it would go into your opponent's pool, but you were still able to re-roll it or whatever. So, yes.
It is in your pool.
It is in your pool.
If you played the card on your opponent, it is in your pool.
Correct.
Which is really cool for Forsaken, because if I put this on
I
your
didn't think of that. That's a good call.
Right, yeah, and you roll in, I now have 1 die in my pool, and then it's my turn.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
That's cool.
I approve.
So, yeah, that's one. And then they didn't actually, but there's been some discussion out there about downgrades of, like, can you overwrite downgrades or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah, did they clarify that?
Well, no, not on that. But if each character has a downgrade limit of 3. If a character has more downgrades on it than its downgrade limit, its controller being the character, not the card, is how I read this. Right?
You don't take that as the downgrades controller?
Well, so, I mean, the way, and granted, there are many instances in this game of proper English not being relevant, but in proper English, something like that always refers back to the last noun. Right? So if a character has 3 or more downgrades, has more downgrades than its downgrade limit, and that the downgrade is not the noun there because downgrade is referring to it's referring to the character.
Right.
Its controller, the character. That's how I read it. And I think that's how an English teacher would read it.
That's not illogical. I think we have some English teachers out there. Maybe they could throw us some
Rebel Trader, we're looking at you, buddy. So, all right, moving on. So choosing character subtypes, I actually threw an Argent one in there, right? So the reason this clarification is, this isn't a clarification, they just added pirate to it, but the reason this exists at all, right, is when a player would choose a subtype, the player must choose one of the following, right? So that prevents you on something like Claudite of saying dragon or I'm calling Mike as a subtype.
Oh, I got
right?
you.
So
Like
you
a
have
nonsensical.
you have to choose an actual subtype that matters, right?
Okay.
That's all that they're saying, right? So they just added pirate to that, no biggie. Piloting, this is the biggest one. This is the one we've all been waiting to clarify, right? And this one is huge. So after a character with piloting is activated, controller may choose a vehicle they control and activate it. That character is piloting that vehicle. Piloting expires at the end of the round. Makes sense. A character can only pilot one vehicle at a time. Makes sense.
Okay.
If a single vehicle can be piloted by more than one, a single vehicle can be piloted by more than one character. If a character starts piloting a vehicle, they're no longer piloting any vehicle they were previously piloting. So like in an Fringe Admiral case or some sort of reset, you can't pilot two vehicles. A character is no longer piloting a vehicle if the vehicle they're piloting leaves play, and a vehicle is no longer being piloted if all of its pilots leave play. A character can pilot an exhausted vehicle even if they were unable to activate it. That last sentence is the one that we all care about.
Right.
How good, and that's why I actually have Slave One.
Right, I was going to say.
Right, like...
So Slave One
Django Boba Deck
effectively
that
becomes
everyone's excited
a
about.
2
It's a
damage.
2-ping.
Yeah, 2. That is sick.
It's pretty good. That's what we were all waiting to hear. So,
And they're all legend. Of course, they're all legendaries.
well, you know,
Gotta make that money.
do you? Because we don't.
Actually, they don't.
They don't.
I'm pretty sure they don't, but they should.
Sore subject.
Right. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Part 9 in multiplayer rules. This one, they just added a clarification. They, at the beginning of each round, flip each battlefield face up. That's because of the way that multiplayer works for claiming, and that you basically have X-1 battlefields in play. Oh. Right? So if you're the last person to claim, you don't have a battlefield.
You know, bringing this up makes me really want to try this format. I don't know why.
Let me know how it goes.
And on the solo Mike Alliance cast.
So, I mean, that's fine. And then that's basically just... Because the idea is as they get claimed, they get flipped over, so they can't be claimed. And then clearly somebody was like, oh, I don't know what to do because they're all upside down, right? So, whatever. That's fine.
Gotta clarify.
Hondo was given Pirate. Not much more to say there. I mean, we were all suspecting...
He's effectively better
happen.
now, right?
Like,
If he had 11 health, he'd be perfect.
Well, I mean, I think there's a Hondo Craig in Solidarity. We're in our friends up north trying to float that.
Dude.
Our janky friends up
Yeah,
north.
dork.
All right. Card clarification. So now I'm going to go run through all the card clarifications that were made. The first one, the most obvious one, is moving rocks. Like, if you didn't think this was coming, then, like, I don't know what's wrong with you. Like, this one was obviously coming.
Suck it, Braven.
Yeah. Banned. Wasn't that what you said?
Banned.
All right, so moving rocks, right? It says, it isn't clear with this card moves shields. This is also why I think it was a rough draft. Because I think this was like notes. Because this is not in the same tone as like any other RRG.
Interesting.
It says, it isn't clear where this card moves shields from, semicolon. This card can move shields only from a number of characters.
Oh,
right? So I think that was like mental note, not clear.
Yeah.
So
you think in maybe the working document of this, they used blue to placehold and to maybe share thoughts, and then when it moved to red, that's when hey, it's locked in. We're in red now. You think maybe that was how they?
I don't know, but
does that imply
everything else we've seen has been in like crimson, and this is in like light blue.
Doesn't that also kind of imply they have some sort of project management ability and skill?
I mean, I fully think Jeremy can project manage. Like, he's running a design team of some sort, right? Now, I mean, I know there's people out there who can argue how successful that was, but like,
yeah, I actually it's kind of interesting to read that insight. I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
a little change of tone.
So card clarifications, right? I mean, compare the tone here, right?
Yeah.
After the Pike Sentinel you brought to the game with is defeated, place it in your set aside zone as defeated character. This is not insignificant, actually, because it changes your tiebreaker rules in terms of damage dealt. Now, is this going to come up really ever? Probably not, because I think most of the time you're going to see coaxium heist is probably in casual games anyway.
Right.
But I can be proved wrong on that. I've been wrong on stuff like that plenty of times. So
no, I think it adds another wrinkle. Anytime you can add something else to think about with these cards, that's kind of cool. I think mostly this is going to get played at a. Someone is mentioning like a mill.
Yeah,
like bringing this for.
It is interesting they put this in though, because I hadn't really thought about it until they put this in and removed the possibility. But someone could have potentially created some sort of deck that like did damage installed, right? Trying to go for the. But see, what's interesting though is
if I give you characters, right, and then I just wait. There's a point in the game where mathematically I win every tiebreaker because you have more overall health than me,
right? So like, I mean, you still have to do it, but I guess I could see a space in where. But I mean, I guess technically, as long as you don't bump the guy off, the damage is still dealt. right? So if he has 6 damage on him in a tiebreaker, it's still your health, or it's still your...
Now you're 4D chessing, like, tiebreaker.
Well, I mean, that's not... And you know me, that's not even the way I like to play. Right? Like, I would think not highly of someone who would intentionally do that, but there are people out there who get their jollies from that, so, right? They can do it.
I know who you're talking about.
All right, so Commander Pyre, this one was, I think, mostly assumed that the debate was for Commander Pyre, right? He does a damage when you claim and does damage when you take control, right? So there was the question out there of, when I claim and I don't own the battlefield, don't I claim and take control, right? Dealing 2 pings. So this clarifies, if you do not control the battlefield and then claim the battlefield, Pyre and Cruel Methods will each only trigger once.
Okay.
Right?
And this,
which I think is what we all assume.
This kind of all goes back to the same, Emperor's Throne Room and what's her bucket? Arinda Price.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, that you. Yeah.
Right. Because I remember us having an argument. Like I was out walking. My kid was at gymnastics. I don't know why I remember that. But I'm walking and we're texting. Me, you, and Derek are texting about how this works. And they had established a before and after time frame in the game really clearly, and I was happy with that. I was like, I can figure this out. There's a before and after, but never have they ever established when played or at the moment. That's right.
I actually remember that conversation.
Do you remember that conversation? Yeah. So
before effect, after effect, but what's a win effect?
Right. Yeah. So that's when this got weird. So I can see when they clarified that and said, no, here's the process now of claim, because before there wasn't a clearly defined process of claiming, and now there was. So when you bring Pyre in, all of a sudden the people who are reading the rules as written are going, okay, well, now I'm following the process, which is, I claim, I then take control of the battlefield, I then activate, I may or may not use the claim ability at that point. So I get it. It's almost, I don't necessarily agree. I don't know if I agree with it as the rules written, but that's how the card was supposed to be. Like I think it's only supposed to.
You mean in terms of how the cards, you mean the way it exists today is how it was designed.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
That's what they had in mind.
Because I agree that the way he's written, technically by the rules, he should deal 2. Right. But the thing is, like, the reason we were even having an argument about it wasn't from the technical side. It was that, come on, it can't clearly do it. Because, like, he's broken.
Yeah,
right?
Correct, yeah.
So, anyway, I'm happy with that one.
Interesting.
Also, Eric doesn't watch this, but suck it, Eric. Because we had a huge argument. Because Eric loves breaking the game. Like, he will try to break the game any way he can. He's like, no, it totally works. And I was like, why? Just because we're arguing? He's like, yes. That's fine. All right. This one is interesting. So, Death Star plans. If an opponent moves his cards, because there have been arguments. So I made some statements when Death Star plans was spoiled in like 2016, right? And I was told I was wrong, and I think I'm right again. So card clarifications: Death Star plans. If an opponent moves this card to one of their characters, they gain control of this card, which means they own the unique. Which means that Mike. So if Mike plays Death Star plans, he now has that unique in play. Cannot play Death Star plans. I take Death Star plans. Now I have the unique, which means Mike can play Death Star plans. Which means I could then take control of Death Star plans and have 2 uniques on my side of the table.
Does the unique rules then... So the unique rules are only play restriction, right? So I could technically at that moment have 2 copies. Does the same thing work for, like, could I, if we were both playing, like, Mace Windu, and somehow I Magna Gloved your Mace Windu's lightsaber over to me?
I don't see why not.
I could... have 2 alternate dimension Mace Windu's lightsabers? I mean,
I don't see why not.
Okay.
Unless I'm completely missing some other like tertiary rule here. But like, so think about it, Rex Blaster, right? So you have 2 Rex Blasters on Rex. One of them gets moved over somehow. What happens to the second Rex Blaster? It stays in play.
So the uniqueness rules
or
basically.
So
I cannot play a second Rex's blaster if I don't have Rex, if it's not on a Rex.
Correct.
Because it's the play restriction that's keeping that from happening, right?
Correct.
So Rex removes that. It hits the table.
Palp's lightsaber.
Right. It hits the table. I've got 2 Rex's blasters. I've got Built to Last.
Yep.
In my awesome Ayla Rex deck, right? And then Rex gets popped. Those move over to Ayla. You're saying at that point then, because the play restriction, the uniqueness then isn't even taken into account, it can move over.
I think that's the way it works. Maybe somebody can...
Let's go with it.
I think that's the way it works.
Yeah.
Either way,
Sorry.
Okay, so that's the second part of it.
Correct.
The first part we know for sure, which is Mike plays it, I take control, Mike can play another one.
Right.
Like, that is what this is saying.
Because you're controlling.
110%.
Correct.
The argument then, or the debate would be if I take control of Death Star plans, so I have to chuck one.
And I think if we had the rules in front of us, we could probably quickly
I
figure that out.
I just don't remember
it.
the wording
Yeah.
right now. All right, so
add
next,
it to the comments.
Yeah, I mean, don't worry, people tell us.
Right.
So card clarify, but please don't tell us if it's your opinion or if it's the way you think it works. Please only tell us if it's actually the way it works.
Yeah.
All right. Card clarifications, Jedi Trials. This card may allow a character to have 3 character dice. That character is still considered elite.
Three character dice seems kind of interesting.
I think that's the way we thought it worked.
Yeah.
But it's good to have.
I'm glad that, because this is the shorthand, I'm glad it wasn't like Jedi Trials. This card still sucks. Semicolon. And then the clarification.
It is interesting that the clarification doesn't say, like, you must bring a set-aside character to the game or something like that, right? But, I mean, it'll be fine. Card clarification. This one I didn't see at all, right? So Magna Glove card clarifications. You gain control of the equipment or weapon upgrade you moved onto your character with this special ability. Like, what am I missing that needed clarified?
Spend resources equal to the cost of the opponent's equipment or weapon upgrade in play to move it.
Oh,
okay.
I get it. Okay,
All
so
right.
it's moving and you do own it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
It's a good clarification. It's stupid. We all assumed it, but it's good because
Right.
you know what? You don't want to argue with that fringe.
Right.
All right, tactical delay. So I was wrong on this one. Tactical delay. This after ability triggers and resolves before the first turn of the round. So
This is sexy.
or really not.
Right. Well, if you're not set up properly,
Right.
it could be bad.
All right, Mike, you have 2 actions, and then I get to go because you don't have the battlefield.
Right.
Roll out.
Resolve?
Reroll?
That's still cool, though.
Reroll?
I roll out and resolve, though. I
Right.
get it. I mean, if
No,
if
that
I'm-
would be fine. But it's
Yeah.
like roll out, whiff,
Yeah, that's
Your
the
turn.
part that
remove.
yeah, because it's a 1. Yeah, that's. I keep trying to figure out ways this week of cards that might be able to help me either keep resources or take resources off this at an opportune time.
Well, but it still only triggers at. You have to. No, you can never get the actions outside of upkeep because of the way it's written. Because
Right,
after
yeah.
the action phase ruins, remove 1 from the support. Then
Well, but if it's at 2, let's say I play it and it's at 2, and I can somehow remove
one of them, you just get.
that
it
means
a
I
turn
get
earlier.
it. Yeah, I get it a turn earlier, and that might be.
So now here's the question.
Okay.
Right. Tactical delay into a tactical mastery. You should get the actions. Right?
Oh, absolutely get the actions.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's probably your.
3 steps ahead. It's tactical mastery to 3 steps ahead into
seize the day.
I have an action too. Wait. We're gonna have like
Into military camp, I back in. Suck it.
like we're gonna have like butt tokens lined up all over the
And then
board
you're
to
like-
keep it track.
Pass. Which does not end the round because it does specifically says both players can pass. But
Awesome.
all right. Trust your feelings. So this is a complicated one, right?
I couldn't follow this one. So
If you use the action on the Destroy the Death Star plot with this card, that action ability is added to the queue and will resolve after each ability that was already in the queue, right? So basically what it's saying is, like, if you somehow get this out, like, what's the Trench Run card, right? So Trench Run allows you to basically do everything you need to set up to destroy the Death Star.
It's like activate, reroll, right?
Right. But the idea here is, like, if you have some weird fringe scenario where this goes into the queue, everything else has to resolve, is what it's saying. Oh. Right.
And you don't technically win the game until everything's
Right. Everything would have to be and this itself does, yes. So this itself goes into the queue is what it's saying. It's not so, like, I don't know, they have some weird thing in the queue that can, like, turn one of your dice, and it's after your roll in. They would still get to turn their dice before. I mean, then you get the reroll anyway. But I don't know. That's just how it works. Is, like, it's important to say
What if
this in
it's
the
future proofing the rules a little bit? Maybe
future proofing the rules.
Well, they didn't. When they wrote this card, they didn't know the game was dead. Shut up, Anyway,
Moving on.
All
right, FAQ. Actually, it was interesting. There was only 2 FAQs. So the first one, everybody knew this one, right? So clarification is, if I use Mace Windu's power action to play Knighthood on a non-Jedi character, will that character get 1 shield? The answer is no,
Right, yeah.
because so Mace's resolves first, right? And at the time that you put knighthood on, that character's not a Jedi.
Right. Until the card's fully played, right? Yeah.
Yep. So we knew that one just because of the Ahsoka interaction was the one that got asked like almost weekly when the set came out back in 2006. All right. Rule of 2. So this is an interesting one. So if I include Rule of 2 in my deck without a Sith character, can I draw a card with Dr. Aphra? No. Rule of 2 will be set aside during step 1 of setup, and you'll deal 1 indirect damage to yourself. Aphra's ability will trigger and resolve, but you don't have your deck in play yet. Right. So this is totally a playtesting question. Everyone else looked at Rule of 2 and said this is garbage, or I want to try this with Dooku. It was either this is garbage or I want to try this with Dooku Kylo 2.
Right. Yeah.
Those were the only 2 responses. It wasn't, can I use this on Aphra to start with 6 cards? Like, no. How
many times though have you I have never once considered the actual setup steps. That's not true. Because I'll tell you.
We all had to deal with it with Nuke Gunray and Blockade. That's how it came into play, right?
That's true. And also with the Plowalks playing Bitter Rivalry, that's true. That's kind of a newer one, but that's before that though. I had never even cared. I remember answering that question at Worlds, and it never come up, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting because it's set up the choosing player then gets to go because the Ewok's not in play, so you can't put the Bitter Rivalry damage on the Ewok.
Right.
That's the secret sauce there.
Right.
To that. So anyway.
Yeah, so I mean that's it. It was it's super great that we have it. The piloting thing is pretty huge. I mean, it's not huge because we needed an explanation and we got it, and that's fine, but Boba Jango's feeling real good right now.
Is this the first time we've got the FAQ prior to set release?
Well, yeah.
Or at least even on the same
So yes, but no, because there's actually product out there. Right. Although, to be fair, in Spirit of Rebellion, when we actually had a legit pre-release, which I think is the only time we've actually had a pre-release, right? With Spirit of Rebellion.
Well, Awakenings had a pre-release.
Oh, well, that's true. That's true. That's true. Okay, that's fair. But so from an expansion standpoint, SOR had one,
right?
And then we never saw it again, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we haven't had RRGs for those.
So it feels good. That when we actually get our hands on this product,
right? Well, but that's the problem is. People do have their hands on the product, right? So,
and let's just,
and the full set's been spoiled.
Let's just talk about it. Yeah. Let's talk. So we have some friends that went to LVO, and they spent their money to buy a box because everyone was able to build a box, and then they actually bought other people's boxes, right? They bought people who didn't either care or want, or they basically, hey, can I buy your stuff? They bought it. So now we have people who are sitting on product who can't effectively play it. In a weekly.
Yeah, Derek's been, because Derek went to LVO and he got a box and he's like, wait, so you mean I can't play this? I'm like, no. No.
It's A, not fair, and B, it sucks to be Derek because you want to play that stuff.
Right. He can play it in casual. We've been proxying dice for months, right? But
it's just stupid.
Yeah.
That's
get the set already.
God dang it.
Sitting in a warehouse.
Jesus.
All right. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up.
Sure.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think we're. Since we have a few minutes, we got done a little early. But are you going to go to the Tacoma Prime?
I'm not planning on it. Okay. I don't think. I'm helping several in our group test for it.
Okay.
But I just don't want to go get droided again. I don't know any other better way to say it. I'm just sick of it.
Right.
I don't know what else to say.
And I you know me, I love playing Destiny, and I'm not going. I can't. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah. Well, you said you were not the happiest guy in the world on Monday when we played, right? Yeah. And by we play, I don't mean we were fighting. I mean he came to the tournament and it was a relatively small turnout because people are bored,
right?
And
and
it was the same. It's
2 Relos
and
Raylos, and a Palp, and
right.
And I
was running Jin Cassian, which pissed everybody off. I guess
I'm not poo-pooing on anybody. You bring what you want to play, but it just we're ready. I'm ready for some Luke Skywalker.
Here's the thing, bro. Raylo's not going away. Raylo's getting new tech cards. Everybody's gonna be excited about.
Raylo's getting better.
You can't tell me the guys who spent the last 3 months perfecting their Raylo aren't gonna keep playing Raylo, right? And then droids aren't going anywhere.
I just can't play the same deck that long. It's really hard for me.
I'm with you. I like to. You guys see me. I'm on a different thing every week.
You carry 6 decks with you pretty much all the time.
And I have my big deck. Last meta was Maul Mando, and actually that's another thing. I highly suspect my new deck or my deck for this next meta is going to be Maul Mando,
right?
Because it's got a whole bunch of new toys.
Yeah.
So,
well,
I don't know. But I like playing the fun stuff. So, but no, I'm not gonna go up. Like, I'm not gonna drive 2.5. Also because like Olympia here, Tacoma here, like geographically. So Portland, like I'm not saying in terms of ranking because Tacoma's here, but it's Portland. Like 2 hours away is Olympia, and then you have Tacoma. Right. But this like little bridge is like. Yeah. I'd rather drive this twice than drive that.
Yeah, thanks, Joint Military Base for that.
No, JBLM's north of Tacoma, isn't it?
No, it's between Olympia. It's between, that's the part you get hung up on.
That's bad, and then Tacoma itself is just anyway. No, I do not want to go to Tacoma.
Okay,
but I would totally go because I want to go like see people, but like I just don't want to get destroyed.
Tacoma has a beautiful like waterfront downtown now. Like they've done a lot of good stuff.
Odd Otter is there. If you ever check it out, Odd Otter.
What is Odd?
It's a brewery.
Oh, okay. I like Tacoma. My problem is I'm with you. Like adding an extra 45 minutes to the drive to go 13 miles and then to get droided like doesn't sound very appealing to me.
I think this meta is solved, and like no matter how many nerfs we throw at droids, like
it won't die.
It won't die.
It's
just there seems to be this theme recurring in this game where if you don't have to roll dice, it's pretty good.
Or you don't care.
Right, well, yeah.
You don't care what you roll. You
like,
turn them and fix them.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, again, hey, if, you like what we're doing and you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. We're trying to grow and keep it going. Right. So, Mike and I will be actually back. We're actually recording a double header this week. That's why we'll be wearing the same clothes.
Yes, you won't
it won't come out for a week later, but we'll be back for us very shortly. We'll see you in a week. Go Commando.
Go Commando.
In partnership with We Tabletop, the event directory for tabletop gamers.